What is special education? Well, special education is simply a number of steps that Congress created in order to provide a free, appropriate public education to children who have disabilities. When you're in the regular classroom and a teacher comes in and they teach towards the general classroom, and that's what they're taught to do in college, and that's how they teach. Well, what Congress decided was we have these children out there who are special. Generally, they have disabilities. Sometimes they're gifted. But what Congress said was, we need more than just your standard teaching process. So what they did was they created special education, which is nothing more than specially designed instruction and related services. And all related services is physical therapy, occupational therapy, just different services to bring your child up to the level, or attempt to bring them up to the level of just a regular child in the classroom. They also provided supplementary aids and services, which allows your child to be in the regular classroom as much as possible. So really, it's nothing more than a change in teaching style. And that's what special education is, and that's what the IDEA does, is it changes everything towards teaching style. So when we're going through all this, and we'll go through a graph here in a second to show you how all this works, and then through a few definitions, but really just remember, all it is a change in teaching style. Okay, so here's what we're talking about essentially. This graph kind of shows you where students are at. So the bigger circle is all students. Okay, so you take a look at that. All students, this encompasses everybody. Now, we'll talk a little bit later, but response to intervention students are just students that need real simple interventions to access their education. Now, as we move down the line, there is 504 students. And what 504 is, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, it's a civil rights act for individuals with disabilities. Now, it covers all areas of disability. That's breathing, walking, running, but it also includes learning. So this circle's a little bit bigger because it includes everything. IDEA students is specific to learning, and this is what we're talking about in our section is IDEA students. So what we talk about here is just learning, but your child may also qualify for 504 services. They may qualify for response to intervention services. And of course, then you have all students. So even if you're having problems there, you ask for help. So not so different. The only difference is the difference in the amount of services that you're receiving to access your education. And here's the goal. Here's your special education setting over here. Here's your regular classroom setting over here. The goal of all of these services in these different sections is to get closer and closer and closer to the regular classroom setting and learn as much as you possibly can. So we'll talk a little bit about the definitions, but really the goal is to be in the regular classroom as much as possible and for it to be an appropriate placement so that your child can learn in that placement. The definition of special education is the Code of Federal Regulations, 34 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations. Section 300.39, special education. This is the definition. And I want to go through this quickly because we cover it later, but special education means specifically designed instruction at no cost to meet the unique needs of your child. And as we talked before, it's just a change in your teaching strategy. It involves instruction in the classroom and instruction in physical education, travel training, and vocational education. And once again, at no cost means specifically designed instruction provided without charge. So there's no charge for changing the instruction. Then the statute just lists some definitions: physical education, specially designed instruction, travel training, and vocational education, all of which we discussed later. So you'll get a longer look at these different areas, but just to know that's what special education, that's the definition. In addition to changing the instruction, doing specially designed instruction for your child is also entitled to related services. This is to help them to benefit from their special education. So any services they need to access their special education, to access their education in general. And here is a whole list: speech language, audiology, interpreting, rehabilitation counseling. Here's a whole list of related services that can be provided for your child, up to and including parent counseling and training. So the area of related services is quite extensive. And finally, I just want to talk a little bit about supplementary aids and services. And the difference between them and related services is that related services is for your child to benefit from their education. Supplementary aids and services are to help keep your child in the regular classroom. So that could be an aid, it could be a number of different things, but it's just to keep your child as much as possible so that they can appropriately learn in the regular classroom. So to sum up, special education is specifically designed instruction for your child with related services that they may need in order to benefit from their education and any services they need to be in the regular classroom. And that is what special education is.